I wanted to let you know what's been happening these weeks on the driving licence negotiations and share some personal reflections on where we are. Now, on Tuesday this week, I met with representatives of a group set up to help advance the interests of those affected by the situation, to hear firsthand from them on your behalf just how much the inability to drive is really impacting those of you who have been affected. Now, I'd like to thank them, those who came to the embassy, for taking the time to travel, in some cases quite a long way from several distant parts of Spain, to meet with us, and the considered and very powerful way in which they brought your issues to our attention. Now, many of the stories they shared were quite harrowing, in particular being reminded about the impact on people's physical and mental health, a very real impact. And I know that it's hard to believe that we can understand the impact on your lives when we may not be personally affected. And of course, in some ways we can't properly, but I and my team do read all that you share with us on social media, and we understand how important it is that this gets resolved as soon as possible. We've also shared those stories with the group's permission, with the Spanish ministries responsible for the negotiations, in the hope that this will help bring these matters to a conclusion. They raised the question also with us, which many of you have asked and continue to ask, and quite understandably so, about why the interim measures that would enable you to drive while negotiations concluded couldn't be reinstated. Now, as you know, that is not something which is within the UK government's gift. We have asked for them to be reinstated on several occasions, but this has not been granted by the Spanish government. However, if it does look like there will be any significant delay to current progress, and we are making progress, I will ask again, although I can't guarantee, of course, that the response will be different. Now, we also heard from them about the difficulties some of you have faced when trying to register for a driving test here in Spain, the cost, the waiting lists in some cases, and the possible impact on insurance costs as well if you're classed as a new driver. Now, I'm afraid that the simple fact is we cannot influence the Spanish test system. Of course, it did bring home to me just how challenging taking a test can be and how that exacerbates the situation for many of you. Now, I know it's frustrating to hear me say again that we're making progress, but we genuinely are. And I know it's frustrating to hear that it's our top priority, but it really is. I can only assure you that neither I nor the negotiating team take this matter lightly at all. We are completely committed to working with our Spanish counterparts, our Spanish colleagues, to resolve this together as soon as possible. And as soon as the two outstanding points that we're working on have been resolved, I will let you know straight away. Thank you for your patience.